Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. There are warnings that several, if not many, British cities could very well descend into civil war. Feral cities where law has no place, where the police are scared to tread, and where basically gangs rule. And then you will have all the fighting in between them. It's likely to be race riots, likely to be a lot of, so we say, breakdown of communities as everyone starts tribalisation within our cities. Some cities are already lost. Leicester, for example. Who's saying this? Not me. I agree with the sentiments, but these are not my claims. They are the claims of a man called David Betts, who is a professor of war in the modern world at King's College, London. And he's warned that both the UK and France are among the countries most likely to face difficulties maintaining peace in the coming years. And we can see already Paris descending into massive race riots. Paris has fallen. Paris will continue to fall. Paris is finished. And indeed, many people of wealth and taste, if you like, are already leaving Paris. They're moving out. They don't want to live there. You know, the eternal city. Gone. City of light, gone. What's going to happen? Well, Paris is now a third world shithole. Many years ago, I went to Paris with my wife, supposed to be a little break, and we had a nice little time in that. Went to the Moulin Rouge, sort of thing like that. Had a wander around the Louvre, went up the Eiffel Tower. The weird thing about the Eiffel Tower is when you go up the top and look out over Paris, it doesn't look like Paris because the one thing you can't see is the Eiffel Tower. However, the very first thing we saw when entering Paris, we flew into Charles de Gaulle, got the train down to the Gare du Nord. The first thing we saw when we left the station at the Gare du Nord was a man shitting in the streets. We'll always have Paris. And that's exactly what places like Leicester and Bradford and parts of London are going to descend into. And that, of course, is what's happening in France and now in London. It's difficult, of course. There's a range of social issues. There's employment. There's poverty. There's a lack of investment. There's economic issues. They're all the economic issues. But then there's the social issues as well, which is communities that form ghettos. There's no integration because those who come here don't want to integrate. That's a fact. That's why we have ghettos. And it doesn't matter who they are now. You get groups, and they live in ghettos. Then they complain they live in ghettos. But here's the thing: nobody makes ghettos. Nobody forces them to live in ghettos. They choose that for themselves. And there was a wonderful example recently. Where was it? Walsall, I think, or somewhere in the West Midlands. Not Dudley. Wherever it was. I think it was Walsall. And they were complaining. It was an Asian, young lad. I mean, I'm going to say mid-20s, something like that. And he was complaining. He got that broad West Midland accent, you know, Dudley, it's all like that, isn't it? Apologies to the people from the Black Country. But he was complaining. He's saying, our communities aren't the same. Things are changing. They're changing too fast. We don't like it. And the reason is that where he grew up, which was a very, very highly Asian area, was now being infiltrated, to use his words, by white people. And he didn't like it. And the white people in particular were like Poles, Romanians, and East Europeans. And they're all coming over, and these are the only houses they could afford, so that's what they were moving into. And he didn't like it. His community was changing. And my first thought was, well, see how you like it. But that's how it is. But there's no cohesion. They don't want to integrate. They don't like the fact that white people are coming in because they don't like white people. In the same way, honestly, it's why the same way when mass influence of Asian people came to Britain and the white people go, no, I don't like it, you know, because it's the new and it's the change. And it is inherent racism, but it goes both ways because human beings are racist. There's no getting away from the fact that it is an inherent human trait. You don't like foreigners. And there's a reason. And it's called survival. It's a survival bias. You stick with the people you know, the people you trust. It's inherent in survival, and it's been there millions of years. There's no getting away from it. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it is what it is. But when that change comes so fast, so quickly, it brings with it fear. Fear begats hatred. And that is where we're at. The change is too big too quickly. No one is saying that foreigners aren't welcome. And if you had a trickle, that would be fine. They'd come in, they'd trickle. They wouldn't form ghettos. They wouldn't then be in an echo chamber. They wouldn't be reinforcing their culture onto ours. They would integrate far more easily. You never had Islamization in the 50s and 60s and 70s. Yet you had people coming in, but there was no Islamization. It's only as of late, the last, say, 20 years since Blair threw open the doors, nearly 30 years since Blair threw open the doors, that this has become a problem in Britain. Britain's always welcomed immigrants. Always. Damn it, after the war, we were grateful for the Windrush generation. We were grateful for the people coming over and doing the jobs, working in the hospitals, working on London transport, on the trains, or whatever. We needed it. We needed that boost. We'd lost so many men. Before that, I mean, going back historically, we had the Huguenot. The Huguenot, you could call it invasion, really. We had the Huguenot coming over because of their deportment from Europe and all this. We've taken them in time and time again, and we've done so proudly and willingly. Often with sometimes relief. I mean, when the Huguenot came, they brought skills, they brought money, they brought so much. You know, it happens. Nobody's against controlled and controllable immigration. But when you get mass uncontrolled immigration, and then the people who come in refuse to integrate, refuse to listen to our rules, our history, our heritage, our way of life, that's what's happening. And that's what's happening in Paris. And now this guy, David Betts, is saying that that is what's going to happen in this country. And you know what? I see it. I see it happening, and I see it happening, he says, within 5 years, certainly, if not quicker. We need to sort it out, and we need to close the borders. Deal with those we've got here now, you know, but we can't keep the doors open. And the irony is, all these people going, refugees welcome, oh, we can bring them all in, blah, blah, blah. I bet they've got a front door in their house. Thanks very much.